Well, welcome to another episode of this Kapuna Hale, which is Hawaiian for ancient house. This house was built in the 1920s and belonged to my grandfather on my mother's side. Right now, we're in the laundry room of this house, and there used to be a water heater over here in this corner, and I think the heat from the water heater and the age of this paint on here, it's all beginning to fail pretty badly. So in order to fix this, we have to get down to the beadboard. This is all beadboard, amazingly, and this requires scraping. I've tested there are three layers of paint on this original wood, and I've tested each layer carefully, and I am really unable to detect significant levels of lead. So fortunately, it is safe to just scrape on this, which is what we're going to do. We're using this interesting tool that I found. It's called a hide. Hide. It's a scraper, basically a scraper attachment for a shop vac. So we've got our shop vac down there in the laundry tub, and we're scraping away on this. And what we figure, when we get down to the wood, at least get all the loose paint off, we'll probably go over it with a bad surface primer, like a Zinsser. So that's what we're gonna try to get done here. So hang on, it's gonna be a wild ride. All right, so we've scraped everything off. It's wanting to come off. I mean, there's quite a bit of paint that's sticking pretty well, but the paint in the really trouble areas, uh, that has pretty much come off in this laundry room here. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna experiment with a couple of different types of primer. This area was particularly bad in here. It was all peeling off inside this closet. It's incredible, beadboard in a closet. So we're gonna goof around with this Bullseye 123, which seems to have a lot more solids in it, and this Zinsser Guards. The Guards is really designed for bad drywall, wallpaper removal, popcorn ceilings. What's important about it is it has a really good adhesion for chalky surface, or it's kind of a gluey, I think, gluey acrylic sealer, which will be good for this because there's still some chalky areas that we have to deal with in here. And then I think the Guards would probably be pretty good for existing areas that paint's still adhering to. I put a little bit of it. I put a little bit of the Guards on this area here. That looks pretty good. I mean, it's a pretty decent primer one shot here. There's a little bit of wood showing through where it was down to the wood, but I mean, it's supposed to be painted over. So I think that one way or another, this place is going to look a lot better when we get done with it. So this Guards has actually very little pigment in it. It's mostly binder. It's been described in some places as being basically like Elmer's glue that's just diluted. It is kind of the consistency of milk. I'm gonna roll some of this out on the on the ceiling here. It's like nothing is level. I've already cut all the edges in. Just getting surface now. So now we got a high cut in. And we'll get the rest of it pretty soon. Alright, we're still working this laundry room here, but we're coming down to the end of the primer phase here. Got Zinsser bullseye on everything. Cleaning up areas that didn't get enough on the first time around. Sort of a second coat just to make sure we got everything covered. The beadboard is really hard to get with a good nap roller shouldn't be a problem, but I guess our roller is maybe beginning to wear out now. So we're just trying to get it done, what we got. You know, driving to the local Home Depot around here is a good hour wasted. Spend doing something more constructive, so I'm gonna work with what we got. It looks a lot better already. Looks great. It's going to be a nice restoration. Fortunately, we are not having to worry about lead paint. And even though this is a 100-year-old house, apparently we did not use lead paint. So we're just trying to, the lime green is, see, grandfather was a gardener. He planted all kinds of stuff. He was really great with plants. So the lime green kind of resonated with him. But I personally don't like it. And painting the ceilings lime green as well as the walls, it doesn't work at all. It doesn't look good. It was a fad for a while, I guess, to paint walls the same as ceilings. But you don't want dark ceilings unless you're running a nightclub. So, at very least, at the end of this particular project or sub-project, we're going to have a ceiling that is lighter than the wall. And I think that'll go over well. That'll look good. That's what I'm hoping we're going to finish up here with on this trip. We started out with the Zinsser guards on the chalky areas after we finished scraping all of this chipped and peeling paint off of here. And I've had absolutely no like chip roll off on the roller, so I know we got it sealed up really well. And then we followed up with the Zinsser Bullseye, which has the Zinsser Guards is more of a sealer. It is almost all binding agents. A lot of people describe it as like Elmer's glue diluted. It's essentially what it is. It's just takes all the any chalky areas and seals them up. That's what we did first. And now we're just going over this beadboard with the Bullseye, which has a much better, it has a better hide, although you can still kind of detect that there's a lime green color underneath it, but it's not anything like it was before. Thank goodness. Just on these little places where it's just not quite getting all the way in there, but we're gonna work on it. We'll do some detail work with the brush and get some time. Important thing though is to get this thing covered up. Kaimuki is a strange place. Geologically, it's, you know, it's all dormant volcanoes, and volcanic lava that came out of this volcano was really, really rich in iron. So what you end up with is a lot of iron oxide as the water breaks the iron down into iron oxide, or combines with oxygen to create iron oxide. It basically is rust. So everything in this, the dirt is blood red, like brick in Kaimuki. And the dirt blows around. It's as fine as the finest flour that you can buy. Coats everything with this red yuck. So don't think we want to leave this ghostly white, but because it'll pick up all that dirt eventually. What we're just trying to do is get everything to where we can do something with it, and move on from all the chipped and peeling paint a 100-year-old house has in it. So this is just one of many projects, little sub-projects that take weeks to get done. And this kahuna holly, which is Hawaiian for this old house. This house was constructed with redwood that was shipped over, probably in sailing ships, large sailing ships, from the west coast of the United States in the late 1800s or early 1900s. You can pay $100 for 1 linear foot of redwood. It's a big enough chunk. Stuff like what's in this house. The reason they use redwood to build houses like this is because Redwood doesn't taste real good to termites. There's also quite a bit of cedar in this house, because that also doesn't taste real good to termites. Chinese craftsman house built in the 1920s. Had a lot of detail work. All this cabinetry is built into the walls. It's an insane amount of detail. I mean, I'm rolling paint out right now, but the vast majority of this paint job has been cutting, just cutting in everywhere. More and more cutting. Little corners, little nooks and crannies. Too small to roll paint into, so you gotta like use a brush, which I've been doing now for days. Stand over here. Whole trick is not to fall on your ass. This is actually the second one of these that I've worked on. I worked on Sandy's grandparents and her kind of an ancestral home in Florida and Homestead. When we lived there. Oh, also in Miami Springs. Did a lot of work on that house too. And these cabinets open, they operate. I've done actually some work on them to make sure that they do. I've had to shave down the edges a little bit because some of them were stuck. A lot of little detail work. But I don't have enough money to pay other people to do it. So this is why you do it yourself. This beadboard, I think, was about and came in about 2 foot widths originally. So there's slightly larger gaps. At 2 foot intervals where they fit together. When we started this project, this paint was just peeling off everywhere. It was just coming off in big potato chip curls everywhere. The laundry room that we're in here used to have a water heater in this corner by this pipe. And that water heater generated enough heat to make the paint fail over many years. I don't know when that water heater was installed. I'm guessing it might have been in the 50s. It was eventually moved outside, of all things. They moved it outside this very room and plumbed it in. It's actually an outside of the house hot water heater. I guess in Hawaii this is an acceptable thing to do. You know, in the mainland, nobody would ever do that. Well, maybe they might do it, but it would be considered pretty unusual. there is a little bit of termite damage in here, but really less than you would expect after 100 years. Mom, I think, has tented this house more than once in that time for termites. The Formosan termites are the worst. Sometimes they show up in numbers, swarm of these things show up, and then they chew the house up. Delicious soft wood in these cabinets. And other areas are irresistible to termites. All right, I think the rest is pretty much an exercise for brush, although there are some places I could roll a lot more paint on. I just don't know whether I'm going to do that today. That was fun.